So, so 950th meeting, it is a kind of a dizzying statistic. And I'll be the first one to admit that even though I only joined Karachi Toastmasters Club in 2016, and that's when my Toastmasters journey began. But having a 950th meeting for any club is a matter of pride. And this 950th meeting has come sooner than scheduled. Why is that? Because over the past 2 or 3 years, our members have never ever missed a meeting. So uh, come rain or shine or unrest or even thunderstorms or uh, law and order situations, strikes, and even there was an incident where, and you may have heard about it, uh, in the beach, in the area around beach luxury, in the uh, coastal area, there was a toxic gas leakage, and several people lost their lives to it. And back then, we were meeting in person. There was no concept of hybrid or online meetings. And even then, we did not miss a meeting. We did not miss a meeting on Christmas Day in 2020. In fact, we made it a speakathon. Sorry, 2019. We did not miss a meeting on Eid days. In fact, we turned them into a celebratory meeting. And this brings me to our founder, DTM Dr. Salim. I did not have much interaction with him. I was not fortunate enough because when I joined, his health had started failing him. And I only got to interact with him for a few meetings. I got evaluated by him, and I was lucky enough to receive feedback by him on pretty much every speak that I made in front of him, whether he was the official evaluator or not. And he had this undefinable spirit, and that spirit was that he wanted the club and the Toastmasters cause to advance and spread. And he went to all lengths to ensure that. It was his spirit that continues today. It was his insistence that we do not miss a single meeting, no matter what. I distinctly remember one time, I believe it was in 2016, where we were present in the Beach Luxury Hotel, and there were 5 or 6 people. And back then, it was completely strange to have a meeting with 5 or 6 people, but he insisted that no, the meeting should happen. And so did DTM Samir. There was this thing that he did behind the scenes. Most of the work he was doing was behind the scenes. And how did we learn about it? We heard it alluded to by our seniors, of course. They used to tell us that there's much more to DTM Dr. Salim than meets the eye. He does a lot of things behind the scenes. But you know what? The testimonial to this came from a very unlikely source. When we received the news of his passing and we went to his funeral, the Imam leading the funeral made a 15-minute speech about Dr. Salim, about what he did, not only in terms of Toastmasters, but in terms of helping humanity. He had contributed to various causes, and to this day, I have never ever been to a funeral where after the funeral prayer, the Imam has spent 15 minutes telling us about the virtues of the person who has just passed. And that was an eye-opening moment, because that's when I realized, and I believe many of us realized, that what we saw of Dr. Salim in Toastmasters was just like the tip of the iceberg. He was much more than that. He was an extraordinary person. And what that translates to is something special. It is called the spirit of the club. And everybody who comes to Karachi Toastmasters, they agree on one thing, and they find different ways to actually voice it. For example, and I don't mean this to be as my projection. One of our new members said to me a few days ago that I have hardly ever met a person like you. Some of our newer members over the past months have been telling me that the people they find in Karachi Toastmasters are not to be found in any other club. They say that uh, somehow the environment here is unparalleled, not just in terms of technical merits, because technical merits vary from person to person, meeting to meeting, but in terms of the sense of togetherness and the way this club looks after its members. So let me be the first one to admit that were it not for DTM Dr. Salim and the unfallible values that he inculcated in the team that he built, and then that team passed those values to us. And what are those values? First of all, unfailing politeness, respect. In fact, the Toastmasters value integrity, respect, service, and excellence. We bandy about these words a lot, and we heard them bandied about a lot in virtually every Toastmasters meeting. But he embodied these values by being respectful, by being encouraging towards new members. And that's what we find in the club seniors that he trained. DTM Dr. Salim, Dr. Najam, sorry, he's not a doctor, uh, Toastmaster Najam, Dr. Unib, and a few others. We see Dr. Salim walking and talking in these individuals. And that's what we like to see in ourselves. Subconsciously, especially those who have known Dr. Salim, like DTM Rashid here and Toastmaster Rusa here, we subconsciously try to emulate his values all the time. And as a happy byproduct, people find the environment of Karachi Toastmasters Club as something that cannot be matched or that is not matched anywhere else. So, so this was the spirit of kindness and politeness and excellence and service that we try to hold up all the time. And I sincerely believe, since I am a believer in spirituality, that the spirit of this club is the direct result of the efforts and prayers and contributions of DT and Dr. Salim. Because whenever you do something good in this world, it is paid back. Doesn't really matter whether it's paid back immediately or in some other shape or form, or maybe in the hereafter. But I sincerely believe that we are still reaping the rewards of the life and existence and contribution of DTM Dr. Salim.